There's more to sewing than just fabric in a sewing machine. There are all sorts of accessories that you need, and the cost adds up fast. So it's time to go back to the dollar store and search out some inexpensive finds. So stick with me and I'll show you how to do it. Hi there, I'm Karen Brown of Just Get It Done Quilts. I give you tips, tricks, and strategies to help you make the quilt that you want to make. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. A year ago, I made a video on budget dollar store hack. I have so many more to show you, so it's time to make another video. There are some handy things that you can use in your sewing room that don't cost a fortune. If you are a beginner quilter or a quilter on a budget, or just simply want a second set, check out these sewing tools that you can buy from the dollar store. So the first item we're going to be looking at is down at the end of the aisle in the hanger section. We will be looking for pants hanger, either like this one, or like this one, or like this one. So you can store those oversized blocks, or those row by row strips, or those awkward sized English paper piecing blocks, and store them in the back of your closet so they don't get creased. This time of year, the gardening section is usually quite small, so you might have to check out a couple of stores before you find it. But look for this flexible gardening tie. This is perfect for the nose insert in face masks. I cut my piece about 4 inches long. I pull back the wire and trim about 2 millimeters of wire from either end. Then shimmy the rubber back into place. Then I insert it between the layers of the mask up by the nose, and with the wire in place and the edge of my presser foot as my guide, I sew along the length of the wire. I find with this type of wire, I can get a really snug fit along my nose and cheeks, and I don't get any fogging of my glasses. And down in the housewares aisles, we are looking for a project tray. We are looking for a tray that has depth, a handle, and can be stacked, like this one. This is for storing active projects, your blocks, your fabric, and any notions. And they can slip away, out of the way, or they can be stacked, depending on which your space is. Still in the housewares aisles, we are looking for these drawer organizers in 3 different sizes. Last year, I made a video on 10 fast and easy scrap sampler blocks, made out of 2.5-inch and 5-inch strips. So if you process your scraps often and you keep them in these trays close to your sewing machine, and whether you use them as leaders and enders, or you just make them on days when you don't feel like making anything else, you will always be able to make scrap sampler blocks. One last thing from the housewares is a clear tablecloth. You can also use a heavy-duty clear shower curtain. Just throw it into the dryer for 5 minutes on medium-low to get the creases out, and then spread it out over your quilt top. This is a fast and easy way to plan out your quilting strategy right on your quilt top. You know the sizes, you know the direction, and you can keep this and store it with your quilt until you're ready to quilt it. Now you're heading into the hardware aisle, and we are looking for these 3M command strips. And right beside it, we can pick up some strips of Velcro too. We are going to attach the command strips horizontally to the wall and pin 3-inch strips of the hook Velcro at the corresponding spots on the quilt. Then attach your quilt to the wall. It may take a couple of moments of adjusting your quilt, and it does require sustained pressure to get those 2 pieces of Velcro together. It's a fast and easy way to hang your quilt. Next, we head to the stationery aisle, and first we find the foam board. I love foam board so much, I use it for so many hacks. I've already done a video about it, and I'll leave a link in the notes below. Right next to the foam board is magnetic mirrors, and we're going to need 2. And if you don't already have some, pick up some electrical tape. So we pop the mirrors out of their frames, and just be careful because the edges of the mirrors can be sharp. So we're going to take that electrical tape and we are going to cut pieces and just cover those sharp edges. And we're just going to go right around. Then we'll repeat with the second mirror, and then we'll tape them together. You stand them on your fabric and move them around to see the possible kaleidoscope symmetry that you can incorporate in your piecing. And take that magnetic strip from the back of the frame and attach it to the side of your sewing machine to catch any stray pins. And at the end of the aisle, I pick up a pack of glue sticks. I use this stuff a lot. I use it in my English paper piecing. It's so much faster than hand basting your fabric to paper. And I also use it in my regular paper piecing. I put some dabs on the paper, then put the paper on the fabric just to stop it from slipping. But when the piece is oversized, I also dab it in the corners to help hold the fabric in place. And sometimes after you do your initial cut, you find it a little bit flimsy near the cutting area, and I'll put an extra dab on there just to keep my accuracy. The glue is water soluble. It'll all come out in the wash. I also use it when I want to machine bind my quilt. After I've sewn on my binding from the front, I use glue on the back seam and then press my binding over so it's just covering the seam. And I use a couple of clips just to secure the binding. And using the inside edge of the presser foot as my guide, I sew on the binding from the front. And this is what it looks like from the back. And the last thing I'm looking for today is doodle paper. That is that inexpensive pad of newsprint. I also have a video on fast and easy string blocks, and I find when I'm sewing on a diagonal, it's so much easier to sew it to a square piece of newsprint to help it keep its shape. Then I just trim it up at 1/4 of an inch, and this is a fast and easy way for me to sew up my scrap fabric strings. I also use doodle paper in my printer to print paper piece patterns because it's so much easier to remove the paper when the paper is lightweight. That's it for this edition of 10 sewing hacks from the dollar store. If you haven't seen my last one, I'm going to leave a link in the notes below. And if you have any others, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Just Get It Done Quilts. And of course, you can download all my free STASHBUSTER patterns on my website at justgetitdonequilts.com. So take care, and I'll see you next time.